Okay, let's get started. Hari Om and welcome to everyone. We are on our 56th session and we are on the 4th chapter. So we'll get started. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we chant the 3 shlokas from Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Mridavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullarabindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamayah Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetam Rudatuhe Namaha. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. So it gives me great pleasure and a feeling of gratitude that I'm actually joining in from the Adi Shankara Nilayam. I'm just coming out of quarantine today. I'm hoping that I will be able to go and see go to Adi Shankara Nilayam itself today. So let's get started here. So we are looking at the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now, the relevance of this chapter is really very powerful for us because it really affects our life in many ways. You know, when we look at life, many times we find there are simply only 2 ways in which we can function in this world. One is really tackling everything that comes our way, you know. Whatever comes, we just get up, we do everything, right? But the second way is how we can consciously and in a very alert manner do each one of our actions. Most of us, you know, we navigate through life only by tackling whatever comes our way, right? We really don't stop to think about really who am I? Why am I doing this? Does it really make sense? All those things. So this is why we have Arjuna, who is coming here in a way to ask these questions. You know, so we are the Arjunas. Arjuna was the one who went through the problem, and we are in a similar situation where we are doing things and sometimes we go through these ups and downs. So through Arjuna, we are actually trying to understand our life. We are trying to see what is a path by which we can analyze our own life. And so when we conduct our own lives through this way which Arjuna was doing, through this path of analyzing and understanding, then we can walk into any kind of uncertainty. And the biggest uncertainty we face today is, of course, the COVID situation. When we do this, we just surrender to whatever comes our way, and we are consciously and alertly doing things Simple thing is, wearing a mask, being careful in a very, very simplistic way. But taking that same thing to a much higher level, we try to apply this to many of the decisions that we make. So the fourth chapter for us is really an introduction to the way of thinking. The way of thinking for us has been corrupted because we have always thought ourselves to be this Sunitha, for example. Sunitha is doing things, Sunitha is doing other things, Sunitha is getting affected. So how do I get rid of this notion that it is Sunitha's only role she's playing in this Janma? So that aspect of it really comes out very clearly in this chapter. So last time we were reflecting on this aspect of Guru, because this chapter really starts off with one of the first topics, which is on Guru Parampara. And we talked about why we talked about Guru is because it's the Guru who gives us the knowledge, but it is also important for us to understand the relevance of knowledge and to understand the glory of knowledge. And that only a Guru can give us. So we did two questions last time. So one question which got left out and which I wanted to go a little more deeper into it is this qualities of Guru. Now, of course, I've mentioned only 3 qualities, and there are umpteen number of qualities, so many qualities of Guru. And so I would like to throw open this discussion to you. What for you are the qualities of Guru that comes to your mind? And then I'll give you something from the scriptures, what scriptures say. Anybody? I know Meena would like to say something, right, Meena?
Yeah. What I felt was, since you said 3 qualities, what came to my mind was the first and foremost quality of a Guru would be one who always speaks the truth. I felt like that. And then the other one is who's always concerned with the well-being of his or her Sishyas. And most important, he or she should set an example to the followers. That's what I felt.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. So one who knows the truth, one who takes care of their disciples, and the third one is one who is embodies the qualities, or one who is somebody who can look up to. Very beautiful. Any other thoughts? I know one Amma, Yogi Amma, she joins our sessions here. She's in UK, but she saw the presentation and then she sent me an email. It would have been great if she was here to say it herself, but I will speak on her behalf, and when she joins next week, she can elaborate again. She said the 3 qualities is one who is well-versed in scriptures, one who is self-controlled and always happy, and the third one is one who destroys our ignorance. That is, when I said earlier about when I say that I'm Sunitha, then I'm ignorant of who my true self is. So she said, well, one who destroys our ignorance and who helps us realize our own self, our true self. So that is the qualities of the Guru. Anybody else has anything to offer or to say? I think, Meenu, you have something?
It's the same thing you said, the one who guides us at the right direction, right path of eternal freedom. And in their presence, we feel so much peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So much peace we get.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Guru embodies peace, right? Total peace. And so just being that company of the sadhus and the great Mahatmas and the great teachers just quietens every doubt. It is said that when somebody would go to Ramana Maharishi Ji for Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi Ji for his guidance, they would go and just sit in the room. That's all. And they would get the answer. So the peace that Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi embodied just calms your mind and the answer just reveals itself. So
Ramana Maharishi also said that God, Guru and Self are identical. There's no difference. Just
very nice. Any other thoughts? Great. So this is very important for us because, sometimes we think, do we need a guru in our life? Can we just, like I said last time, can we just have YouTubes and books and apps? What we have, the new wave of the future, which is all this, is that enough for us? But the answer definitely is, it was no before, and it is still no 100 years from now. Technology may go any better, but still nothing can replace a live guru, because as Meenu, you beautifully pointed out, it's only the presence of a live guru that you have the peace. And in that peace, you have the answers for everything that you're looking for. The guru embodies everything. So in this aspect, I wanted to share from Upanishads, from Mandukya Upanishad. You have this beautiful quotation where a student goes to a teacher, and the student goes to a teacher having faced everything in life, and he has found that there is nothing more left in the world to chew upon. Just like Swami Chinmayananda in the movie Quest, if you had seen it, he says about, I have chewed, it's just like how you spit out the chewing gum after you have chewed enough on it. So to somebody who has gone through life, who has studied it and said, okay, there is nothing more left for me in this Vyavaharik life, the transactional world. And it's time for me to really understand who I am. So in that sense, the shloka talks about Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmanaha Nirvedam Ayat Nasti Akrita Kritena Tat Vignartham Sagurum Eva Abhikachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So the key words is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So this is from Mandukya Upanishad, and it basically says that somebody, let a Brahmana, an aspirant for Brahman, that is somebody who is seeking Brahman, not really a Brahmin, just to be clear, anybody who's seeking out that knowledge, after he has examined the world and he has reflected that there is nothing eternal that can be gained through karma. This is the important aspect. And that is why I'm tying it to this chapter here, because a person who has purified himself through karma and has recognized there's nothing more, such a person, let him take the sacrificial fuel. In those days, the Samit Pani means the wood which is used to start a fire. And in those days, the guru, you go in the forest, you have the ashrams, and the only thing that is needed that the guru ever wants is, to light the fire of the wood, So taking the sacrificial fuel in his hands, and then he approaches the guru, who is Shrotriya Brahmanishta, who is well versed in Vedas, Shrotriya, and who is well established in Brahman. So that is the aspect. So here, Brahman can we can think about as Brahman is Satchit Ananda, who reflects that love, that peace, that absolute truth, and who is none other than existence himself. So that is the idea of the qualities of a guru mentioned in Mundaka Upanishad. So just wanted to give that thought here. So let's move on to the chapter 4. So far, we saw shlokas 1, 2, and 3, which reflected the Guru Parampara, where we see Lord Krishna mentioning about the fact that whatever knowledge that he's giving to Arjuna today is actually nothing else than something which he has already given before to the sun god Vivaswan, and then to Manu, and then to Ikshvaku. So the shloka really embodies the fact that knowledge is eternal. The only thing that is always existing in this world is not all these bricks and mortar and all the things that we have today, which we are so possessive about. All those things are going to go away. But the one thing that will always stay is knowledge. And that is what the shloka really embodies upon. Then we saw the shloka about the fact that this knowledge has been available for everyone. And here he talks about all the rajas. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaf parantapa. So this knowledge which has been passed on through all the rishis and everything, at one point it appeared as if the knowledge had died away. And we also think about it that way, right? With the social media we talked about last time, and how a mind is the one which is so distracted. Because of the distraction of a mind, we are not able to hold on to the knowledge. And so anything which takes away from distractions is actually bad for us. And that is the one which may seem as if is destroying the knowledge. But the idea is to come back and focus, and the idea is to concentrate. And anything which helps me in that aspect is what will allow the knowledge to continue on forever. So that is the idea here. Then we saw the shloka on where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that now it is your turn, buddy. He really calls him his buddy, Sakha. Sa eva ayam maya tedya yogav prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetad uttamam. So it is an uttamam, the highest sublime knowledge, which is in the form of a secret, because we tell the knowledge only to people who deserve it. So in that sense, it is a secret. It is not a secret because it is available only for the chosen few. That's not what he's trying to say here. He's trying to say that the knowledge is available for everyone. But Arjuna, you are now qualified for it because you have asked the question. You have really wanted this information. So up till here, we find that Lord Krishna is setting the stage. But then you find now that Arjuna is asking a question. He listens to all this and he says, how come that this knowledge you taught somebody to son who has always been there, and you're teaching me now who is just was born. Was born means, we said last time, 60 years old, right? They were 60 years old at this time. And how is that possible? How is that you are giving me this knowledge? So it's a very profound question, because if you think about it, Arjuna is now already sensing that this person who is in front of me, who I thought was my friend, my charioteer, if he has given this knowledge to somebody like Sun, there must be something different about him. So this is like almost a start of Arjuna recognizing that the person in front of him here is not really his friend alone, but somebody beyond that. So this is why this chapter is so beautiful, because it now introduces us to this aspect of who is God, who is an avatar, why does an avatar really take birth? What is the difference between my birth and what is the difference between Ishwara's birth? So all these questions really will come up pretty soon now. So this is why it's very important of discussion. The whole section is now given for just discussing this aspect of who is an avatar and the purpose, and how this aspect of what is really adharma, dharma, many of these things, and even reincarnation to some extent. We'll discuss about this here. So we chanted the shloka last time. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna is asking this question. Aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivasvataha, kathametat dvijaniyam tvam adav proktavan iti. So how should I really understand this? You, tvam, you were in the beginning when sun was there, and sun was there before creation, or sun, well, not necessarily, but you can say sun is part of creation, but sun was there and then all the beings came. So, and then aparam, in the present, bhavataha, you know, how come you are there now too? So this is the aspect we talked about last time, about really who are you, O Krishna? So here it's interesting, you know, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he says about how, you know, typically we look at Krishna in the stories, right? We look at Krishna as somebody, you know, maybe he is like a magician. He's able to do all these tricks and everything. But in reality, this aspect also brings out the greatness, the omniscience of power of him, and how that is why this question was asked by Arjuna in this case here. So it really brings this aspect of reincarnation. And we see that, you know, most Westerners, for example, they don't necessarily really understand this aspect of reincarnation. But we know that that is the only way we can actually explain a lot of these differences in our own lives. We have seen that with geniuses, for example, like maybe Yu Srinivas or Albert Einstein, or even our own Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, all these great saints, all these great people, you know, they have something different than all of us. How is that possible? And this is the aspect of looking at reincarnation. And just to give you a simple few examples to understand about our, you would see in these shlokas coming up is, you know, suppose you are going in this hot air balloon, and when you are on the ground itself, you're looking at things in a certain way. But then once you go up in this hot air balloon and you're looking down, not only are you able to see, you know, where you were and the place where you lived and everything, but you're able to see a much bigger landscape. So that landscape now gives you a different perspective about who you are in relation to everything that is going on. And if we start thinking in that level, you see how different the perspective becomes. So that aspect of it is what you will see is coming up in this shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bahuni me vyatitani, Bahuni me vyatitani, Janmani tava charjuna, Janmani tava charjuna, Tanyaham veda sarvani, Tanyaham veda sarvani, Nadvam vetaf parantapa, Nadvam vetaf parantapa. So we see Bhagavan Shri Krishna now answering Arjuna's question about, you know, when he said, you know, how come you were there before and how come you are there even now? So the reason I brought up the hot air balloon example is he's trying to say, Lord Krishna is trying to say that, you know, we all have gone through many, many births. Okay, not only just you, Arjuna, but even I have gone through many births. Okay, Bahuni me, Bahuni, Bahu itself, the word Bahu in Sanskrit means many. So Bahuni means countless. Okay, Bahuni me vyatitani. So many things have happened, and so many janmani, many births have happened. Tavacha Arjuna, you know, not only of you, Arjuna, but also of me. But Tani aham veda. All those birds I know, sarvani, all of them I know. But natvam vetaf parantapa. But you do not know that. So if we were to say, well, the Westerners, they don't believe in, when I say Westerners, I would say the more modern people. If they don't believe in reincarnation, I guess they can be forgiven, right? Because individually, if you think about it, from where I am, I don't know that I really was there in the past, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing today, and everything that I do it in relation to the previous day, maybe another 2 days. Matter of fact, if we were to ask ourselves, what did I have for dinner maybe 10 days ago? There is no way that I would remember what I did 10 days ago, because I'm so focused on today, right? So that's why I brought that example of this balloon, and this is that, at the level at what I am, I just cannot understand, my mind just doesn't go. So where is the question? If I cannot remember what I did 10 days ago, what would I remember even, 10 months ago, or 10 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, right? Now, whereas Lord Krishna, so imagine Lord Krishna sitting in that balloon up there, and, he sits, goes there and he sees everything. He sees the whole lifespan in front of us, and that is why this thing is, he sees the whole thing happening, and he's able to really, because he himself is there in everything, of course, and he sees that individually, each one of us, what are we going through? But we are like all these small cars here, which I couldn't find a right example of many people. But imagine each one of us being these cars, and he's up there. He's able to see everything. But we are this one person down here, and we really can see only what we see. So that is why I brought this example to show of Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. So our births are not just limited in this physical body. Like I've given this example before too, is, if I'm driving, say, from here to California, and I know that I have like, 3,000 or 4,000 miles to go, and I sit in this one car, which I've rented, which is like 10 or 15 years old, and I drive up to Chicago, and suddenly the car gives up, and then I take another car, and then I keep going, and another car, and another car. So this is how we have taken births from one body to another, like going from one car to another car to another car until I reach my destination. So all this, we don't sometimes understand this, but Ishvara really understands this aspect of it. And that is the idea which he's trying to say, that, but Arjuna, you don't remember, but I remember all this. So then the question comes is, what is really the difference between Krishna, who's sitting in that hot air balloon over there, and we who are on the ground? What is really the difference between this? So the difference is, of course, that he is Sarvagnya. He's omniscient. He knows all the knowledge. He knows everything. That is one thing. He's so powerful. And, whereas we are not really powerful. We are so limited in our knowledge. So if he is Sarvagnya, Gnya referring to knowledge, Sarva meaning everything. So if he is Sarvagnya, I'm really Alpagnya. I'm really an Alpagnya. I'm not that up there. So we find this in Tattva Bodh also, there is beautiful examples of who is Ishvara and who is a Jiva. So Ishvara is one who has got the Samashti Upadhi, the entire world of everything that is there, that is his body. That is his or her body. Whereas our body is just a simple thing here. So we allow ourselves to limit ourselves to this body, limit ourselves to only what I know, and I think that's it, that's me, right? But we have the capacity to reach that level of Ishvara by only expansion of our mind, by thinking big. Just like I said, if I'm able to go to up that in the hot air balloon and think about the whole thing as me alone, not that one person, how great would that be, right? So that is the idea behind what he's trying to say here. And I have to, give you a little bit of a Guruji's joke here. There was this one, I'm going to use exactly his example here, but I may not necessarily say the way he said it. It's so beautiful. Because, he says about how there was a Sanskrit class going on, okay? And typically all these Sanskrit teachers are so grim and, so serious about things. They just don't laugh at all. So, and there was this class and these backbenchers were so noisy and they were so rowdy. And so this teacher goes with a stick and wanted to see what are these kids are really doing there. So he goes up there. And then the students say, well, we're having a discussion. Oh, really? You're having a discussion? What kind of discussion is that? So the student said, well, we are trying to debate what was Arjuna's date of birth and Krishna's date of birth. Okay. So did you come up with something? They said, yes, we did. Do you know when Krishna was born and when Arjuna was born? Well, Arjuna was born on 4th June. And how about Krishna? He said, well, he was born in May. So the Sanskrit teacher was like flabbergasted. How did you come up with that? Well, he said, look, in the Shloka, he says, Tava Char Juna. So Char means 4. Arjuna, so Char Juna. So, so Char June, so 4th June. And the Bahuni May Vyatitani. So that's why Krishna was born in May and Arjuna was born on 4th June. So anyway, that's it. I have to say this joke because it is so funny for Guruji to say this joke. I remember this from chapter 4 on this. So that is the idea which he's trying to say about the thing here. So then now that, Krishna said, this is the case that, okay, you've taken so many janma and everything. So Arjuna's, clearly said, okay, I have another question here. How is it possible that if you gave this knowledge to the sun god then, and now you're giving it, so you must be really, really great, right? And if you are so great and you have everything, you know everything, why would you want to take this birth? So why would you really want you to take this birth? Whereas I can understand why I'm taking this birth. I really wanted to be a chemist in this birth, so I took this birth here. But I do want to do something else in the next birth. Maybe I want to go to Hollywood and act there. So maybe I will do that next birth. So I want to take a birth next time. I understand that. But Krishna, I don't think you really need all those desires. You're so fulfilled. So why would you want to take this birth? So let us see what Krishna wants to say this. Ajopi sannavyayatma. Ajopi sannavyayatma. Bhutanam ishvaropi san. Bhutanam ishvaropi san. Prakritim swam adhishthaya. Prakritim swam adhishthaya. Sambhavam yatma mayaya. Sambhavam yatma mayaya. So we see Krishna here trying to answer this unasked question by Arjuna, which was in, of course, Arjuna's mind. Krishna can read Arjuna's mind. We don't necessarily need a shloka to quote that. So therefore, you see Krishna is trying to say here. Again, a very powerful shloka here. Looks like, Krishna may have skipped a couple of steps here, and that is why we will spend a little time understanding here. So to remind you again, Arjuna's question was, you're saying that that you have that we all have taken these births, but that the births of not only yourself and of mine and of all of us here, but I don't know it, right? So let me tell you why. So he says, though ajaha, I am unborn, So Krishna is now talking from his highest level, which is even beyond him taking a human body. Okay, so he says, ajaha api san, ajaha meaning unborn, api san, and avyaya. Avyaya, we have seen this word before, which means imperishable, nothing can destroy it. That aspect of it is called avyaya. So he tells, even though I am unborn and I am also imperishable, Atma referring to oneself, Bhutanam Ishwaraha api san. I am the Lord, Ishwaraha, of Bhutaha, of all the beings. Bhutanam Ishwaraha api san. Yet, even though I know this, I Prakritim Swam Adhishtaya. Prakritim, which is our nature, Prakritim, Swam Adhishtaya, yet ruling over my own nature, I come into being, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. I come into being by my own Maya. So much of meanings here, so powerful. So here, just to give you an example, I think it's Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda gives this example of about how, there was this father and he was taking his son and he was walking on the road. When he was walking, there was one police guy. He sees one person running and there's a police running after him. So the son wanted to know, what is this? Why is this person running? So the father explains to him saying that, this person is a thief. And so this police guy is running after him to catch him. And then as they go further along, they see about another person being caught by 4 different police people. So again, this kid says, what's going on here? Why is he having now 4 policemen? So the father says, well, this guy is an even bigger thief. So he needs 4 people to catch hold of him. So then as they go further along, then they see, somebody getting down from a car, and then he's surrounded by a lot of people and lots of policemen. So the son, looks up to his father and he says, oh, that must be really a huge, big thief, right? So look how many people he's being surrounded by. So the father says, no, son, that is not a thief. That is actually a politician. He is the person who is taking care of our world. Who's taking care of things and everything around here. So the meaning behind this in relation to this shloka here is, when it comes to individuals, we are not responsible. We are not responsible for our own beings. We just kind of fall into samsara, and then we get caught by the samsara itself, and we just suffer through everything that is gone. We are kind of imprisoned among ourselves. But the person who is there, this politician who is the master, so he's like a master who is now in control of all the police people and all the people. So that's how you have to look at this example. So this person is responsible for everyone. He's the one who can control all the police and everyone, whereas this thief is not controlled by the police, and so he's imprisoned by it. So that's how Krishna is trying to explain here that he is the Lord of everything. He knows everything that is going on, and he takes birth by his own Maya, by his own reflection. He tries to take birth here. So that is the idea behind this thing here. So then why do we take birth, and why does Krishna himself take birth here? That is another beautiful thing to see here, because the word that is used is sambhavami. Sambhavami meaning that he has samyak bhavami. He has taken purely out of his own needs, and we'll go to this reason as to why does he take birth. But the more important thing for us is to understand, why do we take birth? What is it that propels us from taking one birth after the other? I gave that example about how, if I have to go to California, my destination being California, I recognize that the different cars that I do take is needed because each car did not fulfill for me the reason or fulfill for me to go towards my destination, right? So in our own life, we find that we do a lot of karmas, we do a lot of actions. And in each of these actions, they lead us to either certain amount of punyam, some good things, good merits that we get out of it. Or we might do some mistakes, some papa. So our life is governed by all this punya and papa. And all this gets accumulated, and we then, our physical body is nothing but made of, physical matter, all this carbon, hydrogen, phosphorus and everything. And this undergoes modification all the time. It can only serve a purpose to some extent. So which is why it is important for us, when we're in this birth, to do the best we can and to recognize who we truly are, instead of allowing all this punyam and papam and everything to bind us and to decide our next birth, right? So we are actually helplessly pushed from one birth to another based on what we do. And we don't even have to sometimes take ourselves from one birth to another janma to understand this whole aspect. We can even look at our own lives. If we are in a habit of kind of journaling or something, and more importantly, not just journaling, actually going back and reading what we actually wrote, we can actually see a pattern in, say, last year to this year. What did I do last year, which, has led to a certain kind of a habitual pattern within myself, and how that habit now is hurting me this year, for example. Maybe it is, I must have developed a like for, let's take some example, maybe tiramisu or something, we won't use the word gulab jamun, or we always use the word gulab jamun. Let's take tiramisu, So I take tiramisu once and then I just love it. And I keep taking tiramisu, and pretty soon I don't even realize, when I go to a restaurant, I just order tiramisu by myself, not knowing what it is, right? So think about it that as the punya and the papas that I'm accumulating, and I just keep myself, imprisoned in that aspect of it. And so I go through bhavami. Bhavami meaning I take birth. So, but then for Krishna, he's beyond all this. He doesn't have to do this. So he has complete control over it. He has total choice. So the example that is given is, in a well, we just, by mistake, we fall into this well and then we get drowned, But then Lord Krishna, he also, he consciously takes his steps to come down the well to help us, whereas we just fall helplessly into samsara. So that is the aspect what I wanted to mention as this birth. So then what is the difference in the birth of a Jiva and an Ishwar? A question that can come is, in the case of Jiva, of course, we are not in control of ourselves at all. We are always struggling to keep our life. We really have no choice. Whereas an Ishwara has his being in control of himself, he has a choice. So a Jiva, individually, like we have seen this in Srimad Bhagavatam, so many different stories are there about how in this birth, I may have this human self. I have this real complex structure of a body, of a mind, of my intellect, which I can use so effectively to think and to recognize my purpose in life. But if I don't use it, when I die, there is no guarantee that I'm going to get a human birth again, because of the amount of karmas, the amount of punya papa that I've accumulated myself. All that is going to have an effect on what I might take birth. Whereas Ishwara, having complete control over his own who he is, he can choose to come in whatever form he wants. He can come as an elephant. He can even come as this mosquito, which I'm experiencing a lot now. So you never know. So that is the big difference between Jiva and Ishwara. Ishwara has a choice. Jiva really doesn't have a choice in that sense. But I'm sure the question would come, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm then fated? Does that mean that I don't have any this at all? No, it is basically in this human birth where we have this ability to think. That human birth is the only birth in way to realize, because we have that ability for this knowledge to sink in, to be able to experience and express love and peace throughout every second of our lives. So that is the way we can actually understand how to realize. So another important term which has been brought here is Atma Mayaya, which is how Krishna is telling Arjuna that, I'm now come here in the form of Krishna for you, where I have used my own Maya, my own reflection, in order to take this birth here. Now, again, the important thing to keep in mind is we look at the world, we look at this Prakriti, which seems so solid-like, and we attribute reality to it. Whereas the word Maya indicates an illusion, right? So that is the aspect where he's trying to show that at the end of the day, we, in this world of illusion, Prakriti, which is part of this illusion, we give so much more reality. And by Lord Krishna saying that, Atma Maya, that it is just, everything is nothing but this aspect of illusion, which we need to look into. And I'll actually go much more detail about this word Maya when we come a little further into almost chapter 9, I think. But this word will come more and more. But all I want us to remember is, at the end of the day, Lord Krishna is just saying that whatever you see is nothing but my reflection, the reflection of that Ishvara. And that is the aspect, it's all an illusion. The whole world is an illusion aspect. So then the question again comes is, why should you take a birth? Why should I not? Krishna is going to reply saying that, why should I not take a birth? Why should I not take a birth, Arjuna? Because Arjuna's question again was, why are you taking this birth? And there are, of course, many reasons which he wants to show here. And he will be going into that aspect as well in this next shloka here. Yada yada hi dharmasya Glanirbhavati Bharata, Glanirbhavati Bharata, Abhyuthanamadharmasya, Abhyuthanamadharmasya, Tadatmanam srijamyaham, Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Very, very popular shloka, which you must have all recognized. And the one coming up is also another popular shloka here. So, if Lord Krishna is really fulfilled, he's satisfied and everything, why does he take the trouble of taking this human form? Because like we saw, taking a human birth is really not that easy. We go through so many challenges, and Arjuna is thinking from that point of view, by taking this human birth, you're going to go through all this. So why are you really doing this aspect of it? So in a very simple example, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day 2 days ago on the 17th. And it's for this country, US, it is so, Martin Luther King was such a Mahatma, and for India, we had Mahatma Gandhi, for example. Mahatma Gandhi, being the father of nation, he did so much for the country. But if you look at both their lives, they started off as very ordinary people. And they probably would have been totally content wherever they were in whatever they were doing. There's a lot of parallels if you look at the background of Martin Luther King and background of Mahatma Gandhi himself. But at some point in time, they both, of course, Mahatma Gandhi was influenced a lot by Bhagavad Gita. Martin Luther King was influenced a lot by Thoreau. But both of them actually read this aspect of the civil rights and civil rights of disobedience actually. And they brought out their own theory of non-violence. Martin Luther King was influenced a lot by Mahatma Gandhi. And pretty soon you saw both of them transforming themselves into somebody who could influence so many people here. So that aspect happened because in India and, Indians were taken for granted. They were not treated well. So too happening in US with the blacks, so much of adharma was going on, right? So this shloka, I think, really reflects that aspect about why did Mahatma Gandhi come into existence to save India, to give India the freedom, and Martin Luther King here. So I want us to think about this aspect of it, and we'll go into a little more detail about the shloka with combining this next one, which is Paritranaya Sadhunam. We will chant this, and I will finish here, and we'll take up these two shlokas for a little more analysis next time. Paritranaya Sadhunam, Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, Dharma samsthapanarthaya, Sambhavami yuge yuge. So for the protection of the good, Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya, destruction of Dushkritam, for the destruction of the wicked, Dharma, for the righteousness, establishment of Dharma, Samsthapanarthaya, Sambhavami yuge yuge. Again, Krishna is using the word Sambhavami, whereas Jiva, we would use the word Bhavami. So that's the difference. He manifests himself. He just doesn't take a birth for the sake of a desire, which is what we do. Whereas Lord Krishna, he took birth because there was a reason for that. And so we will go into a little more detail about this aspect here. And hopefully this example of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King helps to understand why great Mahatmas come into our midst, even in the form of these people here. So we will meet next week, same time, 8:30 EST, and we'll finish here. And if anybody has any questions on this aspect of avatarhood, about this, please do. Yes, we have a minute. Yeah, Geeta.
You know, initially when you said Krishna came to this world because of Maya, I was about to ask you, why did you use the word Maya for him? I was about to ask, but towards the end you brought it back saying that this is his Maya, that's why he has come, and you said you will be using it more often hereafter, you said. So is that really Maya for him?
No, so the difference between his Maya and what the Maya we are facing is, we are in Maya and we don't know it. Okay?
Okay.
Now, it is not a Maya for him, but he has to be part of our Maya in order to explain to us. Now, if he had come in his form, which is a formless, okay? Now, suppose he was formless, would we be able to recognize him? No. He has to become like one of us. So that is what we are saying is, so we also actually, if you look at it, we can be in control of our own Maya, but we are not. We get involved in this aspect. It's a very powerful question, Geeta, which you brought up. We can talk about that, on how he is in control of his Maya and we are not in control of our Maya. So that is your thing. Is it really his Maya? It is not really his Maya, but it is, he's taken that Mayavi portion. Mayavi is a magician, right?
Okay.
So he's...
Good explanation. Thank you. That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I was thinking for him, why there is Maya for him.
No, there is no Maya for him.
I have a quick question. Maybe you can address to this next week. So my question is our birth and rebirth is based on the papam and punya that we do at the present birth? And also, can you please explain a little bit more about the birth and rebirth of us and also for the God?
Okay. Yeah, we can do that, definitely. I touched upon it a little bit, but I'll give more examples for it, and we will definitely discuss that.
Do we have time for one more question or no?
Yeah, you can ask. Let me write it down. So now, more than 2 questions, I'm not able to remember. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you want to write down?
No, you tell me. Yeah.
No. You said with respect to the politician, there are policemen and other people surrounding him. Whereas with respect to thief, only a couple policemen is surrounded. So you said this is equivalent to Krishna coming and spreading the knowledge or something. Politician is that level. But with respect to the thief, what kind of aspect we are talking?
Yeah. So the thing is that the thief was chased by the police, and
Right.
he's being imprisoned, right? So the thief is so caught up in his own Maya that he's committing all these mistakes, and he has to be put in the prison, which is for us. The comparison is, we are in this prison of Maya.
Oh.
Maya is a prison for us.
Okay.
And we are caught in it.
Okay.
So that is the aspect. Whereas the politician, even though politician seems like a kind of a negative example, maybe I have to say
No. It
party or something. Yeah.
It makes a good example though. We could understand. That's good.
Yeah. So that person was totally in control of all the police, whereas here the thief was running away from the police.
So that explains why Krishna's Maya comes here, similar to Krishna's Maya and our Maya.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Actually, that example was really good. The politician and the thief, and I mean, it was for a layman like us, it was easy to understand, actually speaking.
Correct.
Right. This is the power of storytelling, which Swami Chimananda, would use. It is his example, which I'm using here because it's so powerful, the way he said it,
Very easy to understand the whole thing, That's very
Yes.
good. Very good. Mhm.
Actually, it was very easy to understand. It was very good. Thank you so much, Sunitha.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we'll finish here. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate. Purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I'll stop share and stop the live.
Thank you, Hari Om.